Hey readers, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Paloma, and today's video are going to be the books I plan to read in 2026 as well as my January TBR. So let's get started. In 2025, my goal was to read 25 books and I ended up reading 30. So my goal for 2026 is to just read 30 books. I kind of don't want to overestimate myself because I am a mood reader and sometimes I get into really bad reading slumps. So I just want to set an expectation for myself that I think is feasible considering the time schedule that I have, as well as the activities and trips that I have planned in the year. So let's get started. The books I have set in front of me are 26 books to kind of represent 2026. Again, because I'm a mood reader, I don't know if this list will be the final list at the end of the year or if I'll even get to 30 books at the end of the year. But either way, this is a good chance to hold myself accountable for the books that I plan to read and hope to read. So, yeah. And I think I picked really good books. I think they're good. I think they're good. This is The Warmth of Other Suns, The Epic Story of America's Great Migration by Isabel Wilkerson. As you can see, I had started it in 2025 and I did not finish. So I'm really hoping to finish this in 2026. I think the Great Migration is a very interesting point in American history, especially African American history. So I really want to see it through and kind of see how the migration has kind of still impacted people to this day. The next is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Somehow I have never read this book in my life. If I have, I just don't remember it, which is crazy because Greta Gerwig's Little Women is one of my favorite movies. I think it's super sweet. So hopefully I can finish this. I love the cover. It reminds me of American Girl. Then we have The Joy Luck Club by Amy Tan. My grandmother and my mother read this as well as my best friend. So I think it's time for me to read it and kind of see what's going on in this book. I really love stories that kind of jump back and forth from two different time periods to kind of see how attitudes have changed as well as the culture, especially when it comes to the relationship dynamics between parent and child. I think those are really great stories. The next book is I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. My mother gave this to me in college. I did not appreciate it at the time, but now that I'm older, I think it's time for me to get into it and see what Maya Angelou has to offer. There are books that you receive from people that you're just not ready for at the time, and you have to kind of reconcile with that, especially when the person's like, have you read it? Have you read it? Have you read it? Luckily, my mom did not do that to me with this book, but I think personally, I think it's time to get into it. Yeah. The next book is The Souls of Black Folk by w.e.b. Du Bois. This is a collection of essays that give insight into the struggles, the ambitions, and the passions of African Americans at the transition from the 19th to the 20th century. Like the Great Migration, I think the 19th to 20th century African American life is very interesting, and I think it sets up the stage for the kind of revolution that happens in the 1960s as well as what's going on now. So it'll be very interesting to read these essays and kind of see what these people were living like during that time period. This is going to be very ambitious, and this is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This has been on my TBR for quite some time. I want to say I'm ready for it. It's a big book though. I'm not intimidated by big books, but because I have so many books to read in 2026, I just don't know if I'll be able to get to it. So that's my thing. It's not that I'm intimidated by what's on the page. It's really just like, will I have the time to finish it in 2026? Or will this carry over into 2027? Which is crazy already to say. I don't know if I like the idea of going into 2027. I'm already like kind of nauseous at the idea of having to write 2026 at the end of my emails and like my diary and stuff like that. Ugh. Then we have The Importance of Being Earnest and Other Plays by Oscar Wilde. In 2025, the last book I read was The Portrait of Dorian Gray, and Oscar Wilde's kind of funny. When I first read The Portrait of Dorian Gray, I was kind of taking it on through a very serious lens, but now that I'm rereading it, I'm like, wow, he's actually kind of funny. So The Importance of Being Earnest is a comedy, so hopefully I'll get a giggle out of it, just like I did with The Portrait of Dorian Gray. Even though I know for a fact that The Portrait of Dorian Gray isn't meant to be comedic, it just has comedic moments, which is very surprising on a reread in my personal experience. So, yeah. Then we have The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoyevsky. I was 400 pages in, and then I stopped. So I'm kind of having an internal battle of, do I start it over and learn what's happened and kind of reorient myself? Or do I just keep going from 400 and push through and finish? I don't know, because there's bits and pieces that I remember from the book, but it just seems like there's so much that I might not remember as I keep going. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a dilemma. Ugh. Then we have Gilead by Marilynne Robinson. This is a hymn of praise and lamentation to the god-haunted existence that its narrator loves passionately and from which he will soon part. It sounds interesting. I bought it in 2025. Realistically, I bought it because I like the cover. So I have no idea what it's about, but it's a winner of a Pulitzer Prize, so it should be good. Then we have The Alchemist. I've heard mixed reviews on this. I'm gonna try it. We'll see. Who knows? Then we have Brother, I'm Dying by Edwidge Danticat. I had read The Dew Breaker in 2025 and I enjoyed it so much. So I'm really glad to continue on the Edwidge Danticat journey with Brother, I'm Dying. I really like her writing. I think it's very expressive, but also really tight. It almost kind of feels like she's not fully telling you what's going on. You kind of have to parse through the language and kind of see it for yourself, which sometimes can be a bit annoying, but she does it really well. Then we have Girl, Woman, Other by Bernadine Evaristo. I typically don't read a lot of books that are set in contemporary England. Most of the stuff that I've read that's set in England is classics and Sherlock Holmes. So it'd be very interesting to see something set in the modern times. I don't know if it's modern. I don't know if it's like modern or if it's like 80s, 90s. I don't know, but very excited for this one. This one was on my TBR for quite some time. Then we have Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. Again, this is one of those where everybody's like, this is so good, it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing. So I kind of just want to see what everybody's talking about and if it's worth the hype. Then we have The Whale Rider. When I tell you, I open mouth sobbed when I watched this movie when I was 10 years old, and I didn't realize it was based on a book. So I'm really excited to read the book and cry my eyes out again because it was just so beautiful and so poignant, you know? And just look at this cover art, it's just beautiful. Then, because I love a book to movie slash TV adaptation, we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this before the movie comes out on Netflix, but you know what? It's a chance for me to see what I like about the movie versus the book, or vice versa. That's kind of why I love book to movie adaptations. Some of them are like doo-doo, but it's fun to see what creative liberties the director took with the book. So hopefully I enjoy both of them because I like Tom Blythe. So then we have Sweet Francaise by Irene Nemirovsky. A friend of mine in my book club read it. She said she loved it. So hopefully I love it too. Then we have The Summer Book by Tove Jansson. This one is going to be interesting because it is a young girl who's like 6 years old having to spend the summer with her grandmother. And there's something interesting about books where the generational divide is so wide because you feel like each person is learning something from the other, you know, whether it's the young person learning a bit of wisdom from the older person or the older person kind of learning to just let go a little bit and just have a bit more freedom with their life. And so I really think that's what's going to happen here. And I hope it does because I used to spend the summers with my grandmother and maybe she learned something from me. I most definitely learned a lot from her. So then we have The White Album by Joan Didion. I don't normally read essays. 2026 is going to be my chance to step out of that comfort zone and read essays. I think Joan Didion's a great place to start. A lot of people love her, so I'm interested to see what she's got going on there. Then we have Dante's Inferno. This will be my third or fourth time trying to finish Dante's Inferno, and 2026 is going to be the year I do it. I've said this on camera, so you can hold me accountable if at the end of 2026 I say I did not read it, because I need to finish it. This book is in the same vein to me as the Odyssey, in which it's not the same narratively or anything like that, but it is a hurdle that I have to get over in terms of reading. It is one of those classics I have to read, or else I will lose my mind. I will do it. I don't even care if I hate it at the end, just because I need to finish it. I need to finish it. That's all there is. Ugh. Then we have Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. I found this at the thrift store, and I don't really know too much what it's about. I just understand that it's about Native Americans. So I'm very interested to read what this is about and see what we got going on here, because there's a lot of praise for this book at the back of the book and on the inside. So we're going to see. Then we have Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin. I read Go Tell It on the Mountain in 2025, and I really loved it so much. I can't wait to get more into Baldwin's work. This is a collection of essays. As you can see, like I said, I'm trying to break out into essays, and I think it'll be interesting. A lot of people know him as a novelist, but I think he was a prolific essayist during his time, so I'm excited. And because it says Notes of a Native Son, I have to kind of guess that he wrote a bit about Native Son by Richard Wright. I enjoyed Native Son by Richard Wright. I kind of understand if he's critical about it. I understand where he's coming from. If he praises it, I also understand where he's coming from, because I had the same opinion. I was also critical of it, but I also really understood what Richard Wright was trying to do in the time period in which it was published. So maybe James Baldwin and I will agree, or we'll disagree. Either way, I'm going to enjoy it. Then we have The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. A lot of people read this when they're younger. I think some people read this in school, which is kind of mind-blowing to me, because the books we read in school were not like this. And I know 100% that I'm going to cry. So I got to just mentally prepare for that. I have A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini as well. And if The Kite Runner makes me open mouth sob, I'm sure this will too. And so now we're all just crying all day long, because it's supposed to be really good. Then we have What is the What by Dave Eggers. This is set in Sudan, where the main character has to leave his village and kind of trek across 3 countries to find freedom. I've said this before, I really want to get more into African literature, or at least literature set in Africa. So this will probably be a good place to start. It sounds compelling and it sounds poignant, so I'm really excited for it. Then we have The Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. This will be my first Morrison, and I think it's time I get into Toni Morrison. I've kind of put it off for quite some time, because I've seen reviews of Toni Morrison's work and that they're heartbreaking, they're gut-wrenching, and things like that. And I was a little bit nervous to get into that. I didn't think I was mentally prepared for it, but I think I am. I think I am. I hope I am. And then we have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I read Wuthering Heights in 2025. I am 50-50 on Wuthering Heights. I think it was really great thematically. I think the points Emily Bronte was trying to get across were done well. It's just that the characters were so dastardly that I was just like, my God, I'm so miserable every single moment of reading it. I think Jane Eyre is going to be the same way, because I've watched the movie with Michael Fassbender, but I'm going to stick with it. If I can finish Wuthering Heights, I think I can finish Jane Eyre. It's not necessarily the same narratively, but they're in the same vein. I think they're both gothic romance. And again, gothic romance isn't really something that I read. So again, this is me going outside of my comfort zone and trying it out. So hey, maybe it'll work. Maybe I'll really like it. I don't know. And so then these are the books on my January TBR. For January, I'm going to give myself some grace, because it'll be the start of the new year. I don't know how much time I'll have to read these books, but these are the 4 books I will be reading in January. So out of the list of books from the 2026 pile, I have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry, The Souls of Black Folk by w.e.b. Du Bois, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, because I will be reading this with my book club on Fable. And then I have I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. I think this will be a good place for me to start in January. It's the new year. It's new attitude, new ideas, and new things like that. And then, with the Emily Henry, it's kind of break up the kind of melancholy that we've got going on here and just have a little bit of fun. So those are all the books I'll be reading in 2026, including the ones I'll be reading in January. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!